Welcome to this week's Spinfoil Theory. We're about to take a dive into the lore of Destiny the game. Specifically, we'll be giving a high-level scrutiny to popular, emerging, and outlying theories, then judging them. With that out of the way, let's put on our Spinfoil hats and get a little crazy. Here comes this week's show. All right, now we actually have it down.
Yes, now we're actually recording instead of just chit-chatting and having good conversation.
That's
and
what I'm
not
saying.
recording.
Like, people needed to hear that. they needed to hear all of that. Welcome to the Spinfoil Theory podcast, everyone. We are your hosts. This is LadyLucida, Taylor, and with me, as always, is LadyLucida. How are you doing this week?
Doing all right. It's nice, warm 80s, 90s here in Ohio. It's very warm. It's very warm out, but you know, it's all good. I got the sunscreen, got the sunglasses, got the lemonade.
Wear a hat.
Yeah, hat. Definitely hat.
Hat is big. Even if you have hair and you're not a bald like me, guys, just trust me. Is that the sun? And I'm gonna be in it. Ooh, hat. Save your brain. It'll fry.
Yeah.
But welcome this week. This show is in our special episode theory series, and at first we, recently we talked about Halo, and I think we still have that one on the back burner. I think this week we're going to talk about one of our favorite subjects,
Space.
in games. Yeah, space. Because recently, both Lucy and I own Elite Dangerous. That's been fun. We still need to fly together, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
It's a work in progress.
And then I'm also playing. I just started playing with some friends from my clan, Star Citizen.
Ooh.
And that, yeah, I know it's been in development for so long, and I guess so. I technically started playing in, I guess the current patch is 3.17. Yeah, yeah, 0.1. 3.17.1. So that's my, and I think pretty soon they're about to deploy 0.2. So it's about to be a wipe, start over again.
Oh, that's
kind of thing.
crazy. All that, wait. So even the ships you've earned and everything just end up snapped, gone, adios, have to work again?
So reputation stays, but anything that you spent real money on, like your pledge package, that ship and that starting money, that you get to keep that stuff.
Okay. I was like that, because I've seen some of the prices on some of those ships, with real money, and I'm like,
oh, yeah, the $1,000 one.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna drop $1,000. I don't know about that. Dude. That's a little crazy. I've seen the ship though. It's fancy. Very fancy, but I don't know. I mean, it looks really cool, but I'm not sure.
I will say this, having played both, the default controls for anyone who doesn't know, I have a Hosas, which is a hand-on stick-and-stick setup. And that's kind of you might be more familiar with the HOTAS, which is hand-on stick and throttle.
Yeah.
Instead of a traditional throttle, I have what's called an omni throttle. So it's actually kind of the same as the right stick in my left hand, except it's at an angle. So I'm at that throttle angle, but I can move it. In four directions. And then my twist up and down, I use that for up and down thrusters. So it's really intuitive to fly the thing around like that, and then point and do weapons and other stuff with the right stick. So it's a lot of fun. I'll say this. I haven't tried it with a regular traditional throttle, but because I bought the right stick first, so I guess I was kind of had an experience that reminded me of that on the with the keyboard. It's kind of your throttle interface thing. But yeah, there's nothing like the Hosas or HOTAS experience in any event. So I've been playing the last couple weeks now, and this weekend they just had a live event, a couple live events actually.
Ooh, fun!
So the first one was this I guess it's a PvP event, and it's called Jump Town, and this whole event was they found this drug warehouse where they're creating, I guess, space drugs.
Uh-oh.
But it's really hilarious. It's a fully automated warehouse, so there's no dudes there. And you go there, and every 30 seconds, this little kiosk thing is spitting out a bale of space drugs. And so the goal is you go gather as much as you can and throw it in your ship, and you can only carry one bale at a time. But you throw you throw them in the cargo hold of your ship, and then you either turn it in to the space cops, or if you have a crime rating, like any crime rating, you can get called up by this other guy. He's like, yeah, I'll give you more money to sell the drugs to me instead.
Uh-oh.
So that's where that goes. Well, that's a pretty interesting. Like I was doing other stuff, figuring out loadouts, like things of this nature. When that was when like for the most of it happening, and I heard all these people, it's like apparently it just devolves into everyone like shooting each other out of the sky before they get the chance to land. When it's at its worst. But like I came in, I guess, at this like eye of the storm or something, because I just like scooted in, grabbed the one, and peeled out. No one was even there to bother me. There was like one other dude like parking his ship, and I just did it way faster and ran. But I only got one bale of the space drugs though, so that's the lesson there. You got to be braver if you want if you want to make money on the space drugs. And then the second one, we were talking earlier, Lucy, about how an Elite Dangerous, which I'll let you get into here in a second, because that's another great one, called Interdiction.
Mm-hmm.
So in this game, there's the quantum drive, and you have gas for your quantum drive, and you have hydrogen for your like regular thrusters, like everything else. So, and like right now, I think the biggest tanks, or at least on like the small ships, it's like, just inside a tank will take you from one end of the system, the star system, to the other. So like everything feels big, and it feels like there's a lot going on, but I think it's kind of nice that it's just in one star system right now, as opposed to spread out over like 50 or a galaxy.
Yeah.
But in this one, they lock down this Lagrange point that has like a mining and like a R&R stop for like refuel, like whatever, at it, and they make it so they jam your quantum drive if you go in there, and they make it so you can't leave. So you go in there, and it's like this like blockade. You go in there, and you get this message from the government, and the government's like, dude, fuck these guys. Like, take this. If you're here, you're stuck here, you can help us scan it. And basically they have these ships out there at different points, like scanning. And the first part of this one is you're in your ship, and you're defending these ships scanning for where the bad guy armada is. They're called the Nine Tails, this faction. But I'm trying to find where the Nine Tails are. And so like they send like little light fighters after you, and after those ships, and you shoot them down, protect the scan ships, and you do that however many times till you collect enough data to figure out where their fleet is, and then you go kick the shit out of the fleet till like you dwindle their numbers enough. So I did that this morning, and it's like it's going well. There's other people playing with me. For anybody who's played Star Citizen, there is this like big beefy fighter, I guess, called the Hammerhead. And it is just a slog. Like you can win if you're like me in an Avenger Titan, which is like a light semi fighter. You can like hang and not die, but it takes a while to like beat them. At least if you're by yourself or not in something also as big. And they just keep beaming like more and more of those in as we got toward the end.
You're like, so how many are there? How many are there?
It was like the entire screen was lit up, because like one other difference is Star Citizen, you connect to the server, so you connect to the persistent universe, and that's like everything is like happening whether you're there or not.
Mm-hmm.
But there are different servers, but you connect to it. Whereas Elite Dangerous is peer to peer. That's how you can swap between solo and potential PvP play, like seamlessly.
I see. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's the other one. But yeah, we did that, and it was just like my 3070, like my PC, there was so many different things happening that things were starting to stutter, and it wasn't because of my graphics card. Like I got the 3070, I got my settings right. It was because there were so many different things like happening at once that just like the internet was struggling to. But it was beautiful. It was just like lasers everywhere, like missiles going off. Oh man. And the space flight, it relies a lot more on inertia than Elite Dangerous. Yeah. Like you only go so far, and then you have to like slow down, and there's like a range in your thrusters where you're kind of in control, and then it's where you'll start pushing beyond what your retro thrusters could stop, if that makes sense. It's like once you start getting into the red, if you like push it all the way forward, it's going to take you a little bit to slow down. Whereas like if you keep it in the white, I guess, you can just kind of like move around freely.
That's interesting.
Yeah, it's another really cool part. And that one, like Elite Dangerous, it the default stick works like a plane stick does. So like, you know, forward, back, pitch, yaw is pitch, and then left, right is your roll, as opposed to this, which goes like full Omni space combat, which is like, no, you're just pointing the nose around, and then your twist is your roll.
Oh, I see. That's interesting.
Yeah, as opposed to like twist pedals being your yaw. So yeah, it is kind of different, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. I shot down a bunch of ships, still figuring stuff out, but that was a fun weekend. And I'll tell you what, with the Hossas, if I keep playing this, I'm gonna have the most like jacked Popeye forearms, because like I am tired after like a couple hours of like active flight. Like that, but yeah, it's funny. But yeah, that's what's going on in Star Citizen right now, and there's about to be like other changes here in a couple weeks. I think that's actually about to be free to play on the 7th.
Oh,
so
it is?
give it a
okay.
try.
Like
Yeah.
I know they have like free to play weekends or things, and I'm like, I was looking out for that because I'm like, it's kind of.
You should do it.
Okay. You said the 7th?
Yeah, like 3 days. I'll
Okay.
give you my friend code too.
Yo, let's do it.
I'll put my friend code in the. If anyone else wants to try it out, I'll put my friend code in the show notes for you.
Yo.
But dude, yeah.
Free weekend.
Totally worth it. Totally worth giving it a shot, because I think you'll be kind of amazed at
just how much there is to do.
And how different and how like
different,
and
yeah.
on the level you like interact with everything is.
Yeah.
Like you have to like go down into your console and turn off your engines to refuel.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
There's no automatic landing or takeoff, but it's also a lot easier to land and take off. There's only a couple like cramped places.
That's crazy though. That's super cool.
Mostly landing pads, but yeah. It's a lot of fun, and I'm a big fan of Chris Roberts, the guy who's like the mind, I get the creative mind really like behind a lot of Star Citizen. For anyone who doesn't know, he's the guy who came up with Wing Commander series. He's the guy who came up with Star Lancer. He's the one who came up with Freelancer. These are all like big, at least from my childhood growing up, those were like big games when they came out. And I'm so excited to be playing one of his games again, because it's only gotten better. I could say that. And like I said, Elite Dangerous is a lot of fun, but I kind of feel like it's the difference in technology between like Star Wars and Star Trek.
Yeah.
I feel like Elite Dangerous has like the Star Trek computers.
Mm.
And that's not a bad thing. That's just like a different vision of the future, right?
Yeah.
This is more like, okay, the ship has its own thing. It kind of reminds me of getting into my car when I have to hook up my phone, and then like the phone interface, I have all this like new stuff the car can do now. It kind of reminds me of that. Like you sit in this thing, and then it's really like your little watch HUD. That's how you plot your course, and that's how you like do comms and stuff. But that's not part of the ship computer.
Oh.
The ship computer is just doing like its own stuff, like with the weapon systems and
That's
that
so
thing,
different. That's so
interacting that way.
different. That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll definitely give it a try. Yeah, because like there's not really a lot to do in Destiny right now, besides like I got very lucky in Destiny with my Pinnacle grind, because I was really far behind because I went and visited my family for a week. Then I got COVID, and then Kelsey my girlfriend, she got strep throat. So like all of this bad stuff has been happening, so I didn't really have time to really like play Destiny and do my Pinnacles. I literally would just log on, do the story stuff, and that would really be it. Like bare minimum. That kind of stuff. And I just was on my Titan. I did Vow. I did like Preservation. I did like part of the like, cause I didn't do the story on my Titan yet. So I did some of the story on my Titan and did the Sever mission and got a Pinnacle. And that was done. Like bam, done. It worked really well. And now I literally just need to go up, I think, like 5 season pass rank levels, 10, which,
nice.
And then I'll be plus 15, and then bam, I'm Grandmaster ready. Easy.
Oh, cool.
Easy peasy. So, and Grandmasters come out tomorrow. So, I think I'll be good. I'm just, yeah. I think
you'll be ready. I think you'll be able to do it. I think you'll crush them.
Yeah, and then I think Destiny. Then the only real thing we have for Destiny between now and the end of the season is Solstice, and that's like what, 3 weeks at some point? I don't know, 2, 3 weeks. I don't know how long Solstice is.
I remember them saying it was 3.
3 weeks. Okay.
But yeah, so Destiny's it's slowing down. I think that's what kind of got me into Elite, because I got to a point where just being lucky, I did go to GCX, but I was lucky enough to not get sick, and I do think that had a lot to do with going to GCX and not some of the other things that you could do that weren't as regulated.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. But I was very lucky. Just end of the day, very lucky. Didn't catch that. So I was a little caught up in the Destiny stuff, and then that's when my clanmate Crosswind was like, Hey, do you like spaceflight sims? And I was like, do I?
You're like, do I? I love space. Yeah. Yeah, because like before, while I was stuck at my parents' house, I didn't bring my Xbox, so all I had was the game. I installed Destiny, so I could at least play that, but like, I didn't bring like my headphones or anything, so I couldn't talk to anybody. So it was very,
oh no.
And that sort of thing. So I ended up playing No Man's Sky, which I really like. I hadn't played that game in a very long time. So I was like, what the heck is that? What is that? What is this? What are you? What is the... Very confused 90% of the time. But what I ended up doing is every so often they have something that's called an expedition. An expedition is like you play with other players. Well, I still did it solo, but you can do it with other players. And basically it's like you're all doing like the same objectives. And if you do all of these objectives, you get cosmetics and super cool stuff.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, oh, okay.
It's like cooperative?
Yeah, it's like a cooperative thing. But it's like, there's also like community like goals. Like, oh, if you turn in X number of materials, you get this. And this expedition in particular was different because it was on permadeath mode. It was the first permadeath expedition. So if you die, start all over.
That is some sword art.
Oh yeah. I did not die.
You really died.
I did not die once. Actually, okay.
Nice.
You had to die once to leave the first planet. You had to basically see there's basically a time loop that was going on. So basically, if you die, you reset. Like a time loop. That's the whole premise of it. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. And I went through it. I died the first time, and then I didn't die the rest of the time. Not once. I was very impressed because, like, I remember trying to play, No Man's Sky and permadeath before, and here's a funny story. My controller, the A button, would, like, stick sometimes. What ended up happening, A is to jump. So I was pressing A to, like, try to jump. Up, something. And my button got stuck, and my person just kept going up. No. And then my jetpack fuel ran out, and I went down, splat. Died. I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna do permadeath mode until I get a new controller. Well, that was years ago. But, like, I wanted to, like, challenge myself in, like, a different... Because, like, Destiny, it's a first-person shooter. We've been playing Destiny for a very, very long time. So, I wouldn't say Destiny isn't hard, but it's kind of the same thing. Like, it's... Every season... I wouldn't say every season's the same. But, like, Grandmasters are pretty much the same. Every season. I did the dungeon on Master. It was annoying, because I wasn't, like, super beefy, strong power level. I was just kind of there. I was squishy. I didn't like being squishy. I'm like, I don't like being squishy. I hate this. 0 to 10. And so I wanted to try, like, a different, like, permadeath and No Man's Sky is a very different kind of challenge, I think. You know what I mean? Like, it's... Because actually with No Man's Sky, for listeners who haven't played it before, it's more... It's still a space game, like Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen, but it's much more cartoony and cute. I mean, there's still science, you know, you can still fly around and blow people up, pew 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 with your spaceship, or your little pistol, or that kind of stuff, but it's much more cartoony, and it's different. It's not like a super high realistic thing, and that's not the point. It's not supposed to be. That's why, at first I played it and I was like, oh, I kept comparing it to Elite Dangerous or Star Citizen or other games. Like, oh, it's not realistic. This is kind of cringe. I want real with air quotes, space sim. But as I more played, I was like, oh, this is actually kind of cute. Like, you can go to planets and you can find, like, I went to a planet while I was doing this expedition, and everything, like the trees, the plants, and everything was stained glass. And it was like, and like the butterflies, or like everything was stained glass, and I was like, what the hell? This is so cool. And at nighttime, everything like glowed, and I was like, alright, I'm building a house here. I'm building a house here. I don't care if there's like nothing for me here and there's no point. I am building a house here. And it was like, you can do stuff like that. Like, there was a planet that, like, all of the plants were, like, would glow at nighttime. And there was also, like, toxic rainstorms that would kill me if I went outside, but, like, that's so cool. Like, that's what I love about No Man's Sky, is, like, yes, it's not very realistic. Yes, it's very cartoony and cute, but you can see crazy stuff like that. You can find planets that have, like, weird, crazy animals and weird and crazy plants and all kinds of crazy things. And if you want, you can build a house there. You can be like, I want my view to be this. You can build houses underwater if you like, because like, you can go swimming in the ocean. That was crazy when they added that. I was like, oh god, it's Subnautica all over again. No. Because I played Subnautica. I played Subnautica, and I got so scared, I haven't played it since, because I don't like the ocean. The ocean scares me. Especially if you go really, really deep, and it's really dark, and scary. Like, no, thank you. And I guess what happened one time, I played it, and I found, I guess, what is like, I don't know if I bugged it, or if this was intentional, but I found a big pit. And I thought, oh, it's probably just gonna go down a little ways, and probably be like, you know, kind of like the Marianas Trench, you know, it's probably going to go down and I know really far, but there's going to be a bottom. No, there wasn't a bottom. I had to leave the game to stop falling. I just kept falling forever. I literally ended up looking up on like the Subnautica wiki or whatever for like, what's the deepest point? And I was past that. And it was just pitch black. And I was like, oh god, how do I make it stop? It was so scary. Like, no thank you. No thanks. No thanks. And haven't played since. I know there's like Subnautica 2, there's like Subnautica 2, which is like you're on like the ice caps and it looks really cool. But nah, I'm good. That sounds worse. Like being trapped under the ice and needing to go up for air and you can't because of the ice. Like, nope. I'm good. Swimming in a pool? That's fine. The ocean? Nope. I'm good. I will sit on the beach and...
What if there's like a safety net?
Nope. I'm good. I will sit on the beach. I'll get my feet wet, you know. Walk up, get my feet wet in the ocean, you know. That's nice. But like, I will not go swimming in the ocean. No. I'm good.
If it's any consolation, the part you're on doesn't go that deep. You're on the shelf still. You can't just like drop off.
I know.
At least not in any beach you're probably gonna go to.
I know. But still, there's I don't know. I just like the ocean is cool. Like, it's cool to like go to like zoos or whatever and see like the ocean and like see the fishies and, you know, the seahorses and the dolphins, you know, and you know, that's cute. But I don't want to go swimming in the ocean. No thanks. I will stay on land. I will put my feet on the land. You
know, I played No Man's Sky when it first came out.
Oh, wow, yeah.
In the Disappointment release. And it sounds like good on them for sticking with it for as long as they have and like continuing to add to the game and deliver on. It sounds like at least now like they're delivering more on what they had hyped us up for back then. But so like I want to give it another try. I never did the give me my money back thing. Like I'm just like I'm gonna, maybe it'll be better eventually, or maybe like something will change. Because especially like in this day and age, it's not like a bad game stays bad necessarily.
Yeah, I mean that's what I liked about No Man's Sky is they have. I guess they built it back to what they promised, I guess. Because like when No Man's Sky first, I remember watching that release trailer and that almost made me buy a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was like, okay, this looks cool. That was like what I want from a space game.
And it had like dogfights, like those trailers were nasty. And one thing I would say gameplay wise, whereas like Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen are, I would say first and foremost, like you can do stuff outside the ship in both games. Don't get that twisted. I would say first and foremost, they are a spaceflight sim. Like that is probably the biggest draw in those games. So that's going to be more like your classic TIE Fighter or Star Wars like Squadrons. Ooh, I'll talk about Squadrons in a little bit here too. Whereas this is more like kind of more like Battlefront. It's like a third person experience.
Mm-hmm. But it also has space stuff too. Yeah. That's what's nice.
Yeah, but it isn't. I think by default anyway. Correct me if I'm wrong. Isn't like don't you like kind of fly it from outside the ship? Like I think you can adjust to the first person.
Yeah, you can be first person, but you can also be third person. I fly third person because so I can see easier, see behind me.
Yeah, you can be third person in Star. I think and Elite Dangerous. You can switch to third person in all of them if you want.
Yeah, it's just for I guess the more like realistic space sim, like Elite Dangerous, Star Citizen, Starfield when that comes out. Very excited for that game. But that game I'm excited. I'm like, Elite Dangerous, goodbye. Hello, Starfield. Like, cause like, I want, like, that looks like No Man's Sky, but realistic, which is, that's basically a game I want. I'm like, I need that. I need that right here.
It has. I'm really excited to see what they do with it because it is scratching a lot of itches I like. Because it's BioWare, right? It's a BioWare game?
No, Bethesda.
Bethesda, sorry. Oh yeah, they're. I'm pretty sure they're from like Bethesda, Maryland.
Makes sense.
At least originally.
Makes sense.
I could be completely wrong about that. I will look that up.
But yeah, because it has like the real. I'm not that like the space flying thing. That's not that important to me. What's more important to me is like I like exploring and science because I'm a scientist at heart. I like exploring things. Seeing the new stuff, finding crazy things. That's my favorite thing to do. That's why Elite Dangerous, there's like the three main, I guess, trees or categories you can do. There's combat. Pretty straightforward, Put some guns on your ship and go pew pew and kill pirates or traders or whatever you may fancy. There's trade, which is pretty straightforward. You make your ship into a space truck and you haul cargo from point A to point B. That's basically like money making, I guess, would be one category. So that's, cargo hauling, that's passenger trips, which that's what I do is passenger trips. There's mining, which I hate mining so much. It's so boring in space. I literally fell asleep one time trying to do mining in Elite Dangerous.
Oh no.
I was literally falling. I was like, all right, you know what? I'm just gonna tab out, turn off game, go to sleep. Because basically you have to continually scan for these rocks. And even if you find a rock that might look right, then you put your little probes on it and they scan it and then it could be wrong. And you're like, damn, I wasted all this time. That sucks. It's just frustrating. Like mining is very lucrative, but for me personally, I just think it's very boring. That's why I prefer cargo runs as my main money-making thing. And there's also exploration. My favorite category, that's where you just go in a direction and you can like scan planets. You can scan
chart systems.
Yeah, you scan the systems, and then if there's any interesting planets, then you go to those planets. You scan those planets, and then sometimes those planets might have like interesting plants or life or something, and then you can land your planet there, get out of your ship, get some samples, go back to your ship, go to a station, and sell that genetics for money. That's what some people do. I've slowly getting into that last part of landing the ships and scanning plants. Just all of the planets I keep finding don't have plants, and I'm like, eventually.
I'm much more basic and Elite Dangerous than Lucy here. I go to jump points, which are basically like traffic lights in space, and I look for criminals and then fight them in space.
You're a bounty hunter? Man, no, it's fine. I'm not very good at space combat in Elite Dangerous. Like, I'm not the best at it, so I mean, like, I'm okay. I'm okay at it. I just like I don't know. I'm not very good at those kind. I don't know. I'm not very good at those.
It gets easier. So at first, I think I was trying to do it in my one ship, that like the
Sidewinder,
yeah, not the Sidewinder, the one like just up from that everyone like recommends
Viper?
you get because it can do like a little bit of everything.
Maybe.
It's in the Mark IV, Mark V now, and like the Mark IV was like a special ship you could get, or it's like from the previous Elite games. Because Elite's a whole series, guys. If you didn't know, it's been like I think it's a British series, so it's been like since the 80s.
They're
like
the company's based in the UK, Frontier.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool, but once I switched to the Vulture, which had a lot more like lateral and sort of like weird, air quotes, weird movement thrusters, it became a lot easier.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just me. Like, yeah. And I think I mostly had, I think I might have had lasers.
Pew, 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 pew.
Well, in Elite, it is like a beam. Like, that is like you were shooting Divinity. Like, that is just pew. Like, that is a straight thing. In Star Citizen, they're usually like repeaters or cannons. So you see like singular like shots go out. In that sort of like space movie way. So it was really wild to me that like, no, these are lasers, they shoot straight. Zoom. That's another way. It kind of reminds me of the Star Trek universe. Just like when the Federation ship attacks something, it's just like straight laser.
Yeah.
Deal with that. But I have never, I think outside of engineering, trying to like make the different parts of my ship better, which can be its own. You could play just that for a very long time, just that slog, getting to upgrade your stuff in Elite. But outside of that, like, I think just because I was in it, I think a lot for the combat, I never ended up doing that much exploring. I ended up eventually with the money I made refitting my my other ship for exploration purposes, and that was pretty cool because you guys know there's you can put what's called like a solar scoop.
Yeah, the fuel
ship.
scoop. Yeah.
Yeah, and then as you like zero in on suns, which is typically how you're going to navigate around because they're like these large bodies that you can sort of home in on as you're jumping. You fly by it, and then the scoop will automatically deploy and just start refilling your gas.
Yeah, that's definitely. That is something I recommend everyone having on your ship, because there are times where you could not have that on your ship, and you're jumping and you didn't calculate your jumps right, and you're stuck in space. But don't worry, even if that happens, the community of Elite Dangerous is actually really, really nice, and there's something that's called fuel rats, and I've done it before. That happened to me where one time I had a fuel scoop on my ship, and I had plotted, there's basically a little checkbox for like only plot a route for fuel scoopable stars. I accidentally left that unchecked. So basically it was also choosing stars that I couldn't get fuel from. Mm-hmm. So I basically ran out of gas in the middle of the highway, middle of nowhere. And I was hanging. I was like, oh God, I'm stuck out here. I don't have any way to get out. So I literally looked up the fuel rats because They even have, like, ads in the game, like, when you go to spaceports, you can see for the fuel rats, because, like, they're a part of the community, which is really crazy. And I literally just put in, I need fuel, and I put in what system, and they said, hey, do you mind going to open? Because I normally play on solo. And I said, yeah. So I saved my game, went to open, they found me, they literally sent these little, they're called limpets, which are like little robots. They sent it to my ship, and it had fuel in it. And they gave me enough fuel to get to the nearest station. And then they asked me if I knew, like, what a fuel scoop was, and I explained to them my situation. They thought it was funny. They're like, it happens to everybody, it's all good. And then they reminded me of that little tab. Like, yeah, I kind of figured something was up when, like, the last 3 stars I went to, I could not scoop. I was like, I think I did something wrong here. I think my map's a little wrong. So, but yeah, no, like, and it's just, the Elite Dangerous community is surprisingly nice. At least that part. There are some people who are, that's why I don't play on open, is because there are people who troll, who will, like, go to, like, where new players, well, not new players, but, like, near starting systems, and they just troll them, shoot them, pew, pew, pew. And because because the newer players, they don't have, like, the good ships, they just die. So, like, they can't do anything. It's not fun. I don't understand people who just do that for fun. Like, why is bullying fun? Why? I understand you're on, like, some power trip, but stop it. Get some help.
It's like pub stomping. They're not in it for the right reasons. They're compensating for something.
Yes.
I can just leave it at that. Yeah, and one thing I will say, the navigation in Elite Dangerous, like the system Galaxy navigation, second to none. Like that computer interface where it like plots out all the different like jumps you got to make. Like I think one I had to do was like 40 some jumps or something like that.
Oh yeah, it depends. Yeah, that's the nice thing with Elite is you can like mod your ship out, and it's kind of like building a car. You can replace your engine and replace your all this stuff to make your ship faster. Like my ship is my main ship is it's a very small ship because I don't like the big ships. Big ships are, I feel like I'm like driving like a big truck, and I'm like, oh god, I can't make this. It feels too clunky. I like the small and medium ships. Medium ships, I'm like, that's probably the biggest. I don't like large ships. I'll have like 1 or 2 large ships, but I don't like to use them too often because I don't know, they just feel too big. I'm like, this is too much. I can't even see. I'm so short, I can't even see off the top of my windshield, Like, I can't see. It's too big. So, I have my small little ship, but I have because what you can do is you can eventually, once you've played enough, go talk to these people that are called engineers. And these are like your mechanics. They can trick out your car. I'm like, oh, you want your engine to be modified? I got you. And they can modify your frame shift drive. That controls how far you can jump between systems.
Friendship drive charging.
Friendship drive yeah, because they're British, so they have a little bit of an accent. So they're like, friendship drive charge, and it's like, oh no, it's British. I mean, you can change.
I love it.
You can change like the voice of your little AI, but I think it's funny having the friendship drive charge. It's so funny. It's so funny.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and then on top of that, you can get something that's called a frame shift drive booster, and that'll make your jump range like a big. Like I think my jump range on my little Explorer ship is a lot. I think I want to say like 30 light years, 40, like a lot. Like that's pretty big. And then if I keep tricking out my frame shift drive, I can make it even more. And then if I like make all of the rest of the parts on my ship like stripped down, so like they weigh less, that makes my ship jump further. It's all this like kind of min-maxing, very similar things that you can do in Destiny. Like, oh, if I make in Destiny, if I make my resilience 100 and my discipline 100 and ruin these specific aspects and fragments and guns, I can make a crazy build that kills enemies super fast or whatever. Stuff like that. Like, that kind of stuff is fun. And then what else is there? There's a lot to do in Elite Dangerous. Like, a lot. I feel like Elite Dangerous is a trench that is a mile wide, but only a couple feet deep, almost. There's a lot to do, but it can get kind of boring really fast, I think. That's why I play Elite in, like, very small dosage. Like, oh, there's something cool. Okay. Like, right now, there's this, I won't say, like, in-game, there's lore. There's the background simulation. There's, like, different factions you can join, different groups, and all this and that. And right now, there's this kind of long story that's been going, or overarching story that's been going on with this, like, kind of shady company. And, they've been producing weapons that are very good weapons. Like, they're very powerful weapons, but it's kind of controversial because, kill people. And, they made this big super weapon. They're gonna, like, deploy it and kill all these aliens, because there's aliens in Elite Dangerous. These Thargoids. They're gonna kill them all.
And they are weird. Yeah,
they're weird.
Big alien guys.
Like, when I say alien, I don't mean, like, they look like us. I mean, they are truly alien. Not humanoid alien. They're like alien, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And, they were in the earlier Elite Dangerous games too, which is cool. But, like, what I think is really interesting about the Thargoids is they originally, when they first showed up, I think years and years and years ago, they weren't hostile. All they would do is, as a player was going to hyperspace, they would pull you out of hyperspace, and your ship would be deactivated. You couldn't do anything. And the Thargoids would scan your ship, kind of look at you funny. They almost look like flowers, like the ships. They almost look like flowers, or, I guess flowers.
Or it reminds me of, like, if flowers is a good way to look at it.
Lotus
like if a
flowers?
crab had legs all the way around.
Yeah, I guess almost like a spider.
Yeah.
But they're very, like, almost like petals. So I think they look kind of like a lotus flower, or kind of one of those, like, plants that have, like, almost like, they're symmetrical. Basically. Like one of those symmetrical plants, like a lotus flower. They look like that, and they're green, and they're big, and they make weird noise, and they go blah, 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 and they scan you. Well, players got really annoyed with that. They're like, hey, stop pulling me out of space. So then next time they had their buddies come with them, and they started shooting the Thargoids. And the Thargoids were like, oh, okay. And they pulled out their guns. And Thargoids' guns do corrosive. So they, like, eat your ship up. And turns out there are some planets in the, I guess, the Witch Head Nebula that have, like, Thargoid meta-alloys or whatever, like this material that the Thargoids are, like, growing almost, because their ships are, like, biological. Very weird. And players realized, oh, if we harvest these, we can make metals that's anti-corrosive. But the Thargoids got kind of mad that we did that. So now the Thargoids are blowing up our stations, and this and that. And that's where this very, I guess, controversial, biomedical group comes in, company. Like, they found some, like, old relics and are using those to make, like, a super weapon to kill all the Thargoids in the galaxy. And I'm like, that's kind of messed up. Because what some players have noticed is when you target a Thargoid ship, there's, like, a little icon that shows up. And people have noticed there's two different types of icons. There's, like, Group A and Group B. And Group A's, they're not hostile. There's the scanny ones. Group B are the hostile ones. So it seems like there's almost, like, two different sub-factions of Thargoids. And, like, killing all of them seems like a little... I understand, yes, it's war and, humanity needs to survive. But on the other hand, why don't we just leave them alone? Like, they have the Witch Head Nebula territory and all that. They're not encroaching upon our space. We are encroaching upon theirs. We are the invaders. So why don't we just not and just leave them alone?
Yeah.
But also from like a player perspective, I know Frontier's not gonna just delete the Thargoids. That would be really stupid. Because a lot of players have like builds for their ships and that sort of thing for Thargoid hunting, Because there'll be times when, a bunch of Thargoids show up around a station and players are like, all right, we need to, defend ourselves, which I get that. Thargoids are attacking. That makes sense to me. But like, I don't know, just hunting the Thargoids or like Xeno hunting, that just seems wrong to me because like they're sentient aliens just like us. They probably have thoughts and feelings. I don't know. We don't know. And it's pretty, I don't know. It's really, my guess is that whatever the super weapon's gonna do its thing, but it's gonna backfire horribly. And because they did say update 13, which is like a big update, is gonna be in August. And everything is like leading up to that. And my guess, my personal theory, is that because they added with the big expansion before, they added, you can get out of your ship. Elite Dangerous Odyssey. You can get out of your ship, you can use guns outside of your ship. Like first person, I don't do the shooting. I've done the shooting before, but I didn't really, it's fun, but I don't really I'm a pacifist, I'm just a scientist, man. I don't go around killing people. I'm a scientist. My theory, and a lot of people's other theories, is that this update is going to bring in ground combat against Thargoids. Because people have data mined right when Odyssey came out, and there was some voice lines that talked about, look out, human voice lines that were saying, oh, look out, it's a goid. Slang term for a Thargoid. And that's not in the game right. That's not something you can see right now. So a lot of people are like, it makes sense. I think it makes sense that it's gonna maybe do something to their ships. Or something, or maybe they get mad enough that something activates and Thargoids get out of their ships now. And I don't know. I'm not Frontier. I don't know, but I think that'd be really cool. What I would do is I'd be like, oh, okay, the aliens are, they can walk now? Instead of, because we've never seen them outside of their ships. We don't even know what they look.
Didn't someone look in the ships one time and it was they had a person chair?
Yeah, there was almost like a chair or some sort of cockpit. So that is actually what some, and so there's this more black market evil anti-Xeno organization. Then there's another one that's called Aegis. And Aegis is led by scientists and they're trying to think of they still need to, defend, but it's not more of attacking. It's more of, okay, we need to defend ourselves. Which, that's more what I would do. I would be like, okay, we need to defend ourselves, but not kill all the Thargoids, not do genocide. That's a little much.
Seems a little extreme.
Yeah. And what I guess some black ops organized secret, science that both groups, one, the other, I'm not sure which, they were trying to see if humans could figure out a way to pilot Thargoid ships. And I'm like, oh, see, that sounds cool. I would do that. My commander would be like, yo, did someone call for science? I want to do science. I love science. Science is great. So, I love science. Science is cool. I draw the line at torture, because that's what they ended up, the Salvation is what the other group is. Salvation, they were, they, I guess, captured a live Thargoid and tortured it to try and figure out how their ships work. This was way, way back. long time ago. And, yeah, like, I'm like, that's not very nice. Like, torture and genocide, like all these bad things. I understand, war. We need to figure out ways to beat Thargoids, but like, I don't understand. Why can't we all be friends? Why can't we be friends?
Yeah, it
want to
seems
be
like a lot of hostility from both sides.
Yeah,
without really
from
like
both sides.
doing anything, without like many attempts at communication.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm just like, I'm just saying there's gotta be a better way. There's gotta be a better way.
I'm interested. I'm interested to see where that goes. And it does make it because if I finish engineering my vulture, I think I'll be able to punch up. I think I'll be able to handle, at least participate in some of those Thargoid missions. I won't be so squish.
Interesting.
Well, yeah, because that I think it's because you have the 2 large hard points.
Yeah.
Yeah, and with engineering on there, you just end up being able to do silly stuff. Is how I figured. Is what I was reading back when I was doing that, though. Yeah, the differences are so there. There's kind of like that sort of thing in Elite.
Mm-hmm.
Like so basically you're in this, as like a quick breakdown, since I realized I didn't do any of that earlier. You're in this star system called Stanton, and it's the first star system, at least as the story goes now, that so while it's like controlled, it's part of the United Earth Empire, which you are all like people of. These planets are the first that were like rented out to corporations and private companies. Yeah. So there's 4 different planets, 4 or 5 different planets. I think it's just 4. Maybe it's 5 that you can start out on, and it's like different takes on like how to develop. Like one is, I forget what it's called, but like when the entire planet's developed, like Coruscant in Star Wars, it's just like one big city. There's one that's like that, and that one feels very like cyberpunky when you're running around it. There's another one that's on a gas giant, but everything is like pink, and there's like, it's like Cloud City, but there's also like cherry blossoms everywhere.
Oh wow.
Yeah. The one I picked, New Babbage, it's pretty cool. It's like a modern city. It has like a metro, I guess like super modern because it's in space. But this one, it's on this like really cold planet, and we're in the process of like terraforming it. But they haven't.
Oh,
yeah. So like
that's
everything,
cool, though.
there's like enclosures and like a bunch of different like amenities, like indoor stuff that you can do. And then there is, I think it's Lorville, which that one is, I don't know how to describe it. It's like super industrial, and there's like gondola trams that you take around, and it's, yeah.
Well, that's crazy.
One thing I'll say about Star Citizen is once you're especially like on the planets or like on the space stations, you have to navigate around kind of like you do in real life. Like you got to look for signs on the wall.
Oh no.
Yeah, or like figure out where stuff is. Like find the right elevator to take you to the right place. So it could take a while, especially like as you're first learning and like figuring out how to do everything. But yeah, there's like little stories that that go along with that too, and there's more than just the 2 types of events that I got to try out for the first time this weekend that I believe also kind of like expand the story for that one. So like I was glad I got a chance to do, because apparently like reputation doesn't get wiped, so like also nice.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
that's good.
But yeah, my buddy just showed me his route to get around the solar system, or the star system, and it's like he plotted it out himself, and he made like a little drawing, and that's just like the biggest difference is how you have to figure out how to get around, because sometimes it'll have you fly like through the middle of the sun, and then you just get kind of trapped there. Right now, you don't just like die instantly.
That's crazy though.
Yeah. And you try to hop around going to different stuff to avoid flying into the sun. You have to like refuel a lot. And they have I meant to say this earlier. There's a similar thing. I don't know if it's as organized and as awesome as the fuel rats, because the fuel rats that's pretty impressive. But there's similar services and people you can kind of reach out to for help. It usually involves like, a little bit of money that AUEC those credits, but you can call out for people, be like, yeah, I ran out of fuel. Like, hold on, I'm coming. Send me some money. And I really enjoy that. I was gonna talk about Squadrons.
Oh yeah,
dude.
Squadrons is another good game.
Squadrons is a lot of fun. It is a really like spiritual successor to the old like TIE Fighter series. If you guys haven't tried it before, I highly recommend it. I think you can get it for like $10 right now.
Oh wow, yeah.
Either on Steam or like Origin Pass, like one of those platforms. Like you can get it really cheaply, and even if you just play the campaign, totally worth it. You should totally do it. You get to play both sides. You get to be Imperial and what amounts to being Rebel, and it's a lot of fun. I will say this though, if you start to get into the PvP, you're gonna learn pretty quickly that one, you're probably gonna learn who Grey Squadron is. Shout out to any of those guys if they listen to this show. But Grey Squadron it's a really welcoming community, and they have their own Discord. But if you go check them out, that's really how you can start to get into like the PvP aspect, or just like playing with other people aspect of Star Wars Squadrons. But dude, the end game flying is not what you think it's going to be, Lucy. It is. So there's this thing you can do, which I think they kind of based it off of that second in the sequels, Last Jedi, where Poe is like drifting around and shooting stuff.
Yeah.
That's really what the end game becomes in terms of being like the hardest to hit. So what you end up doing is you end up picking like a beefy either like bomber or like just your base like TIE Fighter or X-Wing, just because they can get like a little beefy too. You pick you want like just the jump jets or whatever they're called. You want the ones that give you like the greatest like initial boost, and you just like boost around drifting and like pot shotting people while you like drift around in like awkward angles. And so anyone who's traditionally flying can't keep up with you.
Oh wow.
Yeah. it's and this game's a lot of fun, and like that there's a learning curve to doing that, but it's fun too at the end of the day. But like it's just, from what the game seems to teach you, it is just it's just not what I expected getting into like the sort of nitty-gritty like post endgame stuff. So like be on the lookout for that. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but like you were gonna learn about space drifting.
Space drifting, that's crazy though.
You're not in control unless you're out of control in space.
Yeah.
Whereas I think likewise, at least the base game for Battlefront 2, like the more recent Battlefront 2 or the old school Battlefront 2, also has a fun campaign, believe it or not. But those are going to be third person, different sort of like fighter experiences.
Oh wow, that's crazy.
Than you're going to get in Squadrons. Squadrons is meant to be like your Star Wars spaceflight sim. So even if you're just in it, and you can do it in VR. Same with Elite Dangerous. If you got a VR setup, you can play it completely in that and be like immersed in the Star Wars,
You must be immersed in the Star Wars.
And so that is one I can definitely recommend. Other than that, is Starfield? All these games have star in their name except for Elite.
Yes.
Is Starfield going to be? Is that going to be? That's probably going to be third person. I think that's what all the video showed.
Yeah, I think so.
So that'll be interesting too. It reminds me of that's probably the one thing I wish I could have gotten more of in Mass Effect games.
was actually
Yeah.
getting to like do stuff with the ship or flying the ship. Especially, oh man, especially after the second one when you get the hammerhead. I guess you get it in the DLC, but you know which one I'm talking about?
Yeah.
The one that kind of like wafts around. Like once you get that, I was like, oh man. And then the third one, they have like fighters. You just don't get to drive one. I'm just like, come on.
You're just like, oh.
Come on. let me go
that'd be
out there.
nice.
I will do it. So one thing I am excited about for Starfield and in trying No Man's Sky again, I think, is just yeah, like it's not the only thing I'm there for. I realize there's other stuff to do. Like even in Star Citizen, you can be a courier, you can be a hauler, you can be an explorer because a lot of these planets aren't fully explored yet. So like you could go
that's
maybe
true.
like discover something in that way, or like go to one of the moons or like the smaller like less inhabited places that might orbit it and figure it out that way. Because like there'll be some missions that you get beacons for while you're out there. And it's just like, yeah, like, can you find this person? They were last seen in this cave. Like, what?
Yeah, Jesus.
But I'm excited to have that aspect in sort of. I feel like Elite is supposed to be like the from space sort of exploration. I think at its heart, and I think with Odyssey they really like are exploring into new stuff. But I don't know if that's all developed yet, and that's not a bad thing. I think it does great for what it is. I feel like No Man's Sky is definitely that like from the ground up. Once at least more recently, it's been meant to be like, okay, like you're flying in the system, you go on this planet, see like catalog stuff, like explore, do science.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that aspect of it. Yeah, I think I got to like the center of the universe like the first time, and I was like, yeah, I don't need to do that again. in when it first released, not now.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
I need to go back and check it out again with all the new stuff. But yeah, oh man, is there any space game that we're forgetting? I think for me, it just comes down to then I start getting into like RTS games. Like StarCraft
Yeah.
and oh man, have you played the new Dune?
No, I haven't. Is it good?
It's still in alpha, but it's still in alpha, but it's a lot of fun. I'm trying to pull it up right now so I can tell you. Oh shit, it just updated too. Nice. So it's still in alpha right now, but it's called the Spice Wars, and you can be all the different factions as you go into the planet Dune, and you're trying to navigate around. So you can be the Freemen, you can be House Atreides, you can be the bad guys. I forget their name, and you can keep doing it. And so right now, I think you have the different houses, and you can go around and like try to like set up your thing. The story is basically like, hey, like you're trying to take control of Dune like right now.
Yeah.
Go out there and like try your best. It's like a little simple. I think there will be like a story mode for the full release for sure, but like it's kind of, I don't know, it's not bad. Like I actually enjoy just kind of like okay, I'm on this Dune planet, like I'm gonna build up some stuff, I'm gonna go take pot shots at these guys, I'm gonna ride the worms. Like I'm gonna it's surprisingly for a game where you're like fighting and like fighting for resources and stuff, I'm surprisingly like calm and having fun with just like the different things to manage and the different tools you get as the different houses.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh man, any final thoughts for any future space explorers out there?
Have fun.
Mm-hmm.
Space is really cool. I like space.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just really like space, and space is just the best.
It's a pretty cool place. That's one thing in Destiny I've always wanted to do is fly the ship. Actually, like fly the ship and do something with it.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Always been mine.
Final thought here.
You're just like, please let me fly my ship.
Mm-hmm. Just once. It doesn't have to be like everywhere. Just once. Like I'll just replay that level over and over. Final thoughts for me. I think one thing I really love about these games that seems to be a theme when you go into space and exploration is there's like a sort of like a sense of wonder about stuff, like especially when you're doing the exploring and checking out what could be in the future. And I think in that way it gives even in some of like the more like dour settings, I think it really gives like that sense of hope that like, no, like we could be out there one day. That could be humans.
Yeah.
Living their lives out amongst the stars. And that's something that always struck a chord with me. Like, you know, just to get out there would be quite the achievement. And
yes,
my biggest piece of advice would be pay attention to your fuel, no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, for sure.
Know how to either refuel yourself or where to stop. That is my biggest piece of advice. And what is it? At least in Star Citizen, because you gotta like take off and land yourself. Don't fly directly at stuff when you're starting out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because you can it's pretty cool. You can actually set a limiter on the throttle. So like,
that's nice.
You can't go too fast. So you can turn on the limiter. But it's just really funny. Like my first couple times like flying places, I think I crashed into a station. Just kapow.
You're like, how do I get out of here?
Mm-hmm. It was funny. Ugh. Oh, and if you blow up anything that you had saved to your ship loadout will come back in
that's nice.
in Elite right now. But you'll lose stuff that was on your person or that was like in the inventory of the ship, so like in the cargo hold, but not like attached.
Yeah, like
to
your
ship.
cargo holds will gone. Stuff that you like any data you had. So if like for me, being an explorer and not cashing in my planetary scans and stuff, like if my ship blows up, all gone. So go rescan everything.
Ooh, yeah. I think I saw when I first started playing Elite, I think I saw a lot of like posts on their subreddit where it was just like, yeah, I just got after exploring for 10 years.
I know, like that just makes me cry. I'm just like, no.
Like, Jesus. And it always gets me too. It's like they have some poetic moment in all those stories where like, yeah, I always play solo, except for this one time.
Except this one time.
I wanted to fly in and just wave to another commander when I was going by. They just shot me.
I was gonna wave and say hi, and then everything
went to heck. Oh man.
Yes.
You got any shout outs this week, Lizzie?
I don't know. I think I don't know. I'm not very good with shoutouts.
Can I do one? And you can stop me if I'm not allowed. I want to give a shout out to LadyLucida because it's her birthday when this releases, and everyone wish her an all caps happy birthday from the Spinfoil Theory podcast in whatever medium you want. If you can add her, you have my permission to wish her a happy birthday loudly in text.
Oh no, here we go.
That is my shout out this week. Happy birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday. I hope there's been a lot happening in this country right now. So you know what, Lizzie, I think you told me someone else said this to you, but I agree. Tonight the fireworks are for you.
Thanks, man.
Mm-hmm. Happy birthday.
Oh. That's cool. I don't really celebrate my birthday.
So we're
very often.
We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it with you this year. We're gonna make sure you get all the well wishes. Booyah! Just like that. But it's got to be awkward. Is this your first birthday in Ohio?
Yes, it is. It is my first birthday in the land of corn, and I have work tomorrow. So, I can't like, oh, I want to go like do this fun thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no.
Oh man. Well, I hope it's a good one. I know you got to work. I've had to do that before, but yeah, I hope you're able to treat yourself. And and I'm sure your partner's gonna do something nice for you too.
Yeah, she bought me a very fancy oven air fryer.
You showed me. It's so cool.
Thing. It's so nice. I love it. We made pizza in it, and it was like the crust was like good. It was crunchy. Because we've made pizza before, and we're like, yeah, the crust is kind of meh, but no, the crust for this was crunch. And I could actually taste most of it, which is good because of COVID. I couldn't taste pizza.
I'm glad
That's the
your
worst
taste
part.
is coming back.
Heck yeah.
Okay. Well, with that, everyone, please stay safe out there. Please.
Yes, please do.
Take care of yourselves. Drink water, hydrate. And no matter where you are in the world, stay like appropriately cool or warm, whichever you need. You deserve it. I think it's really important just to remind everyone that it's okay to exist. It's okay to take care of yourself, no matter what's going on in the world. It's okay for you to exist and to try to be happy.
Yeah, for sure.
So if you needed permission, you got it from me. Do it.
You got it from me. Heck yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
See you next time. Toodles. That's off, Guardians. That's it for this week's discussion. Have any questions or comments about this episode? You can reach out to us on Twitter at Spinfoil Theory, or write us an email at spinfoiltheory@gmail.com. If you'd like to read our show notes, check out articles, listen to past episodes, and more, be sure to pay us a visit over at our website, spinfoiltheory.com.
The Lore Network.